welcome back to the Alchemize Your Weird podcast. I'm here with Kat, who is also on Name Your Podcast.
Hi, yeah. So I am Kat from the Entrepreneurial Expedition podcast. I had to think about it there.
We
Yeah.
are doing a joint podcast today for you guys. So you will either be listening on either one of ours. So we want to welcome you. We're so stoked to do this together. We often do fun little rant sessions, we call it, where we just talk about some of the things that we see in the mainly photography industry. We'll introduce ourselves in a second, since my weirdies maybe don't know Kat, and Kat's people maybe don't know me. So we'll give a little intro in a second, but we are super stoked to bring this joint podcast to you and talk about something that we feel very strongly in our bones that needs to change. For lack of a better term, in the not just the photography industry, because we're both coaches in the photography space, but also the creative industry. And I mean, I even see it in the coaching industry, right? So yeah, Kat, if you want to give us your bio, and then I'll introduce myself.
Yeah. No, I think, it's great to be doing this because, like you said, we can spend hours sometimes messaging each other back and forth, and we're like, we should just record a podcast, and then everyone else can listen to our thoughts on these things. Yes, so for Steph's audience who don't know me, my name is Kat. I do many things. I am, I guess, not originally, but business-wise, a lot of people know me as a photographer from a business called Wild Connections Photography, which is based here in the Austrian Alps and the Dolomites. I also run the Adventure Wedding Academy, which is kind of education and training for a lot of photographers, but also other creators, mainly within the wedding industry. I have the Entrepreneurial Expedition podcast, the European Elopement Guide, and a whole range of things because I like to keep myself busy.
Yes, and amazing rock climber and skier, and also fellow expat, which I think is fun. We are both expats in a new land than where we were born. And for Kat's audience, I'm Steph. I am a certified master coach and hypnotherapist. I work in the photography and creative space mostly because I have been a wedding photographer for going on like 18 years now. That's crazy. I feel old. Yeah, about 18 years now. And I run retreats and do all sorts of fun stuff here in Iceland. I'm an expat in Iceland from America, and that's my main squeeze. So I basically just coach, photograph, do retreats, and give people really epic experiences when they come visit me in Iceland. So, and my podcast is called Alchemize Your Weird, because I am a coach for the weirdos that have always been on the left side of the mainstream, and want to learn how to do things their way and stop hiding. So, yes, so we are doing this joint podcast together, and I'm very excited because we had a fun Voxer voice rant sesh about this like 2 weeks ago or something at this point, 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, I think it was about 2-3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
An email landed in my inbox from a friend and former coaching client of mine, and I think also of yours.
Yes.
And this email just sent us both into, I would say in a very polite way, a fit of rage, maybe?
Yes. Yes, a polite fit of rage. Yes. And we were going back and forth on this thing, and just like, and to be clear, it's not like the email itself necessarily, but more like the grand scheme of kind of like what the email represented, when it comes to how people are marketed towards, and how people choose to market to other people. And me and Kat are both certified coaches, right? So we deal a lot with like actual thought work and actual like mindset work and psychology and behavior, and how one person's thoughts about themselves really changes their behavior, right? So we really work in that space a lot. So when we saw this email, we were both like, oh my God, it's like what's it called, like an epitome of what we really feel like is just not okay anymore. It wasn't ever okay to begin with, but like I really feel like it's a time where marketing needs to change.
Yeah, absolutely. It was just full of things, and we'll go into that in a bit more depth, but just things that I think both of us found incredibly, and it wasn't just this particular email, but it's things that we see happening over and over again that just were, I want to say, like very old-fashioned pressure marketing tactics that just feel so out of integrity. And yeah, as coaches, you know, this just understanding how language and approaches that you use can be so harmful sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that there is alternative ways of doing things.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we wanted to really talk about that today.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the thing that kind of made us both just go like, what the fuck? is because like this particular person that the email the email was sent to, the wording in the email is very much those old tactic marketing where it's not even just pressure marketing, it's also like how to almost prey on people's insecurities and tell them their shit, so then they believe their shit to then think, oh, okay, well, I don't want to be shit. Oh, and you're offering me a way to not be shit. Let me buy from you, right? And the irony of the whole thing was that the whole statement in this email and who received it, which I'm sure thousands of other people received it who are just as amazing as this person, like it's so harmful to get these kinds of messages, to just blanket statement to anybody, right? Because this one person specifically is like phenomenal at photography. Like she is published in many different spaces. She's in actual physical books for her photography. Like she's so good, right? And so like I think that was really just sort of where we were just like, what the F? Like one, why would you ever send something like that to just anybody? And two, like the people actually receiving this, I think when it comes to marketing, marketers don't really think about how their message is like actually received and like what is happening. They only think about it from a space of, let me say this stuff to then like get you to feel bad so I can get a sale, right? And like the end goal is always like the sale, and it's not like, who are these people that are taking in this messaging, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I think it's, and especially this email, it was like, right, what am I selling? And what are the, you know, what are the pain points that I can press on, sorry, and how can I press enough of them or hard enough that actually people will then want to buy this thing that I'm selling? And especially to this particular photographer that received it, I mean, it just couldn't have been further off the mark, and it just felt downright offensive.
Yes.
And thankfully this person, they have, sometimes I think they're insecurities, but they know that they are fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And so that's why they forwarded it to me and just sent it to me and just went, what the actual fuck?
Yes.
You know, and it was just like, this is, I'm really offended by this. Who does this person think they are to tell me that I'm doing all of these things almost wrong when they actually know zero? They don't even know who I am. They're just assuming, they're making all these assumptions about me, about my business, about my ability as an artist when they know nothing. And thankfully this person was confident enough to know that actually this is bullshit. But I kind of really worry about the people out there that maybe haven't been in the business long enough or aren't as confident in themselves and their own abilities to get a message like this from someone who is
very well known,
really looked up to by a lot of people. And it can just be, it can be so harmful.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that was the the kind of purpose of us even wanting to do this, because when this kind of messaging does get to people that are maybe mentally, like thought wise, on shaky ground, right? Like they might have these insecurities and they might have have all these, other thoughts going through their mind of like, why they aren't good enough, why they don't feel good enough, why, oh, and now they're being told, like, oh, actually, oh, I'm not good enough. And oh, this is why I'm not making enough money because I'm shit. Like it really, really is damaging and can hurt people, especially newer people in the industry that are trying to get their foot in, trying to like build their own business and on somewhat stable ground, right? So like it's just so, I don't know, it just pissed us off for lack of better terms. And like another part of this whole I don't know, what do you want to call it? Like cacophony of just like, this is so like awful, because the whole email was just like you said, like really just like stepping on like pain points, like point after point after point. It was a very long email of like a lot of different things. So by the end, like you almost felt crushed, like for lack of better terms, like you really felt like, oof, all right, well, shit, now what? Oh, I know, I'll buy their course, but like the I lost my train of thought. This happens all the time. For anybody listening, I have ADHD, and my train of thought sometimes is like pew, like a thought in the wind. But there was something that I wanted to say, and it is gone. It'll come back. That's what happens. I remember. Ta-da. The point was, some of this is really within marketing. You're told to be the loudest one in the room. You're trying to be the loudest one in the room. You're taught to like get through the noise by being louder, this whole thing. And so part of this that we wanted to talk about was that this specific email and a lot of the marketing tactics and a lot of the just marketing messaging a lot of people see do come from very loud people, right? And so a lot of people think then that, well, they're loud and they're telling me this, and this is what I should believe, so this is what I should believe, when really there's also a lot of people like you and me that are very quiet, under the radar, super successful. Like, you absolutely don't have to feel like that or be like that to be successful. I think that was another part of this like cacophony of everything, where we were just like, that's not true, like this is not the only way to be successful, and like you can actually feel good about what you're doing and be successful. So I think that was another part that we wanted to.
That's true. Yes, it was that both of us were very kind of taken aback, I think, by the tone of it, of the like, I've cracked the code. I'm the one that you need if like I'm successful. So therefore, if you want to be successful just like me, you need me.
Yeah.
I'm the only one that's cracked this kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, it really
like this is not true.
it's like, no, you just shout about it the loudest.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's plenty other people out there who are incredibly successful, but they're doing their own thing, they're in their own zone and fly under the radar. Yeah, like you, like me. In some ways maybe we don't have the huge social media following, like some of these other people do, but financially, like the value of the bookings, again, for the two of us, we don't take the volume of bookings that some of these other people do, but the quality of the bookings, the number of the bookings, there's so many different factors also. I think that it's like, well, you're assuming what success means to these other people and that they want to emulate your success rather than create their own. And it was just like, no, this person is the gatekeeper. Like, you can't, if you want to be successful, you have to go through me.
And like a place, like being a gatekeeper too of something that like is rather new that they're talking about, right? And now they're like the gatekeeper of this one thing, when it's like this specific thing like you and I have been doing for many, many, many years. And like the one thing I even like I do more I without saying too much. So like, yeah, it's just this whole thing of like, here's this new thing, I have the success for it, nobody else is doing it, I will teach you how to do it, I'm the only way, you are shit, I will teach you. And it's like, what?
You are shit, but let me help you be not shit.
Yeah.
And I think the reason for us as coaches, as like actual, not people who call ourselves coaches, but two people who are actually trained, like legit
Certified
certified
coaches.
coaches. I think for me, certainly the thing that really got me about that, and what really I think upsets me, if I can use that word, about a lot of marketing messages, is there's no permission. There's no permission to say, hey,
Yes.
can I give you feedback on why that might not be working for you?
Yes.
It was just like, boom, you haven't asked for this, but here in your inbox is me telling you that you're shit.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
and you know, as a coach, you know, I work on permission. If somebody comes to me and says, you know, I'd like to work on this, or this area of my business isn't going so great, then it's like,
Hmm.
okay, would you like me to offer you some
Exactly.
insights into
Yes.
some of the ideas that I think? And there's always that thing where somebody can turn around and say, actually, no, I'm happy with that area of my business. And then I
Exactly.
keep my
And then
mouth
that's
shut.
it.
That's it.
Exactly.
We let it go.
Exactly.
Um,
Because I think, yeah, I think the difference here is that like as coaches, right? Like our client is always in control. Like
yeah.
they are always in control with what's happening. And it's always their free will to say yes or no. And even afterwards, like even if they came to me and said that they wanted me to critique a part of their art or a part of their, non like business back end, stuff,
Yeah.
I still ask for permission even after that, and then we check in along the way, right? So they still have the choice to say no, I'm good at any point, right? And also at the end, we also, at least I do, I also give them the choice to like accept or reject what I'm even saying.
Yes.
So like,
I think that's a big thing as well. Like, you know, sometimes as a coach, a client will come to you and, you know, for me in coaching, the way that I was taught, the school of coaching that I went through is very much you keep your opinions to yourself. You keep your experiences do cloud your judgment sometimes. And sometimes you can't help but bring your own
mhm,
experiences into the coaching space. But that you should try to keep them to yourself as much as possible.
mhm,
But sometimes it happens that a client will ask you, what do you think? And you
mhm,
can offer that. But then it's always then saying to the clients afterwards, you know, so this is my experience, this is my take on the situation. How does that land with you?
exactly, checking in again.
And checking in it
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
giving them the option to either accept it or actually reject it and say, actually, do you know what, for me, I don't think that is true. And as a coach, then not being attached to being right, because
Exactly.
what's true for me may not be true for my coachee, the person I'm working with.
Yeah.
And
It
often that's the
usually
case.
isn't. It usually isn't
Right.
because, like, as coaches, we coach within their model of the world, right? And like, and I think
Absolutely.
that's also too what kind of just really kind of sent us over the edge reading this kind of stuff is like we work very intimately one-on-one with a lot of creatives, and we see so many different models of the world and so many different perspectives. And especially, I think what makes this more like the most that what I was just like, about this whole thing is that this kind of messaging being given to creatives when creatives, as we know, they're expressing from their model of the world, their art, right? And it should be different. It should look different. They have all of these experiences that they're bringing into not just their art, but also their business, right? The way that they think about their business, the way that they want to move forward in their business, the people that they want to work with, right? And like we understand because we are so intimately intertwined into their vision because we're constantly hearing it and like helping them along the way, because really
Yeah.
as coaches we're guides, right? We're here to be a mirror, reflect back, help you have insights, keep you moving forward, kind of thing, right? Where this kind of marketing messaging, especially to creatives, is just like trying to set them back, right? And like pull them back into all this like fear-based and just like really knock their confidence and like do all this stuff. And we know because we see when that happens and when a creative has now accepted that, into their model of the world, now it really does change things. And like I have on my one-to-one level, even in my group coaching programs, because I'm still quite intimately involved in that too, even though it's in a group aspect, I'll see this. They'll bring it into session or bring it into, the group and say, I saw so and so say this. Now I feel like I'm doing something wrong, and you have to like then they've gone back a few steps and you have to, as a coach, okay, obviously it's not our model of the world, it's their model of the world, and we have to work them through that, right? So like it really is damaging, and we see it from a very intimate one-on-one space where I think that's why it just like really kind of set us off, because it's not a hypothetical damage that we're talking about. Like we actually see this happening with our clients that take on this stuff, right? And like since this email has come out and a few different marketing messages in the same realm from maybe not the same person, I've actually had this conversation with a few of my clients where they get into like, oh, my client experience is just not good enough. And I'm like, where does that come from?
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about that. This is new. Like,
Yeah.
this is a whole new thing. Last we talked, you were fucking rocking it. You were feeling good. You were feeling confident. Your clients are pouring in. And as coaches, we both know that your thoughts are really so important to how you show up in your business. So now, if they're having these thoughts, they're not going to be executing their client experience as they were doing before, because now they feel self-conscious about it, because now they've taken on that messaging, right? And so it's just like it's so detrimental to, yeah, not just trying to get people to buy your shit, but like really how creatives take this stuff on and how it affects what they're doing moving forward. And I think that is really like also why we were just like, this isn't okay. Like this is not, sure, it might get the sale because you're like making someone feel bad, and everybody wants a what's it called, a pill, right? Like the pill to feel better
Yeah.
after that, but like it doesn't aid in their success at all.
No, it's a temporary pain relief to a pain that you've caused.
Exactly. That
And
you've inflicted
yeah,
on them.
exactly. You've given them this pain, you've offered them the medicine, but it's a short-term solution to a problem that wasn't there until you created it.
Yeah.
And I think the problem as well is it doesn't empower people.
That's
And that's the
exactly what I was
thing
going to talk about.
for us as coaches, is that we're trying to empower clients, and sometimes empowering is actually saying, you know what, don't work with me
Yeah,
because
100%.
coaching isn't right for you, or I'm not the right coach for you.
100%.
Whereas there is no empowerment, there's no integrity in this. This is
Yes.
just saying, no, you need me. Like without me,
Yes.
you can't succeed.
Yes.
And as a coach, like that's bullshit. My clients have got
Yeah.
all the tools they need to succeed. I'm just there if they want someone because they don't want to do it alone.
Yeah, exactly. And someone to help guide them, right? And I think this is why I really wanted to get on this chat with you, because also aside from my like certified coachiness, I also, my like bread and butter of what I teach is brand and sales, right? And so like whenever I am helping somebody, like coach hat off, consultant hat on, whenever I'm helping people in that space, it is always not just permission based like we do in coaching, but also it's very much how do you empower people to feel good about buying from you, right? So like the reason why I really wanted to jump on this with you, because I know you're the same way, is to show people who are taking in all of this marketing messaging from everywhere, basically saying and like poking and prying open like insecurities. Because let's be real, if you were even partly thinking any of these insecurities, it cracks it open, right? And so like that's really the point, is to target the people that are kind of thinking it deep down, maybe feel it, and now you're justifying and affirming those thoughts and letting them know it's correct, right?
Yeah.
Where we really wanted to show that like if that doesn't feel good to you, don't buy from that. If you don't want to market that way, because even our own clients have to market their own businesses, right? And so they see that as the primary way of marketing, when we really wanted to jump on here and show people there are other ways you can empower people. Like the way that I teach sales is like It's literally checking in and permission based the whole way. It's how to empower the client. It's how to empower the sale. It's not pressuring a sale. It's not making someone feel bad to get the sale. And if they're not the right one for you, you don't ask for the sale because it's out of integrity.
Absolutely.
And if you're a business owner, you should care about that, because if people are buying from you that shouldn't be buying from you, that's when you get unhappy clients, and that's when you get regret, and that's when you get all this like other awful shit that happens once they've committed to you, you know? So like we really
Yeah.
wanted to show there is another way to do this, and it's okay to make your clients actually feel good
Yeah.
instead.
It's true. And it's so funny. It makes me think as well, like when I'm working with a lot of my one-on-one clients and we're going deeper, and often these clients are people who've gone through these previous like courses, programs from, you know, even this other person that we're talking a lot about today. And one of the first things that I ask them is, okay, but what do you want?
Yes.
Like when, you know, when we're looking at reviewing their packages and things, and they're like, well, I have this number of hours and this number of hours. And I'm like, yeah, but how do you want to do your packages? And they're just like, what?
Yes.
No, but pricing psychology, like that I've been taught, says I have to do it like this way. And I'm like,
no.
but what do you want to do?
Exactly.
And they're just like, they can't answer it because no one's, that's the problem, I think, as well, with a lot of this like blanket marketing course, a course that's for everyone. There's no empowerment to the individual of actually just taking the time to say, but what do you want?
Exactly.
And how can that we make your business work for you and how you want to do things?
I have such a good example of that. Like, so I have a whole segment in my group coaching program about package creation.
Yeah.
And this is exactly what happens. They're like, wait, but I have to do like the like 6, 8, 10, right? And I'm like, no, what do you want to do? And they're like, what? And I'm like, you can literally crack open the box. Like you can do whatever you want. And I see this a lot in the elopement space too, because the loud guru gatekeepers in the space tend to be like, you must only do full day elopements, because that's what they want to do, because that's where they see that they can objectively charge more. When that's a whole other conversation on, you can charge whatever the fuck you want. But anyway, I have clients, right? One-to-one clients, when they come to me and they're like trying to make this like full day thing happen. But then they're like, but I have a chronic illness. I have an autoimmune disease. I can't be on my feet for 12 hours, but I want to charge at least this much. And I'm like, why aren't you just doing like 4-hour elopements? And they're like, because that's cheap clients. And I'm like, says who? And then, you know, insert these names in these courses. And I'm like, no, what do you want to do? What do your clients want? Because that's really, your packages are there for a client, not really. I mean, obviously you're in them. It is part you, but it's also like, what do people want to buy from you that you want to provide, you know? So like, I think with all of this, it really like lets go of any nuance of anybody having like any other thoughts. And for my weirdies listening, as you know, like everything we talk about in my podcast, in my coaching, in my courses is all about like how to do things your way and for your people and fuck the rest, you know, because like, anyway, rant, I guess. Side rant, but it's all related.
It is all related, but it is this idea of that there's one way of doing stuff, that there's one person that has all the answers, and that if you don't do things the way that they're telling you, there's no wonder you're struggling. There's no wonder things aren't going the way you want them to. And I think for the two of us, we just don't agree with that way of kind of, also just like, if you're in the education space because you want to help people, what you're doing by sharing those messages is counterintuitive. That just tells me you want to make money.
Yes, that's actually the exact point that was running through my head. Okay. Exactly. Yes, that exactly. And like how if you are like really, really wanting to help people, then like help them and create things that do help them instead of just thinking about the sale and thinking about money and then like, you know, on to the next, which is why we talked about this before, how like this is one of the symptoms of why people buy like this one course because they felt bad and this thing will fix the thing, but then it's not actually aimed towards their long-term success, right? So then before you know it, they have like 25 DIY courses. They've maybe half started like a few of them, and they feel like something is wrong with them still. So they keep buying these courses and buying these courses, right? Because they're getting that messaging. And then it's like not a catch 22, but like a
Yeah.
spiral, like a spiral down, where like
Yeah.
they need the help up and over, kind of thing. And so it's just not helpful to people's success, period.
No, no. And I think there's just that, you know, if anyone is claiming that they have this magic pill, that they have and especially when, if you, to me, a big red flag is if you have the term hack, anything like,
Yeah.
grow this,
Yes.
hack, do that. It's like, like there are no hacks. Like
Yes.
a hack is not long-term sustainable
Yes.
success and
Yes.
happiness.
I see this so much, like when one-to-one clients first come to me, and
Yeah.
we're going through kind of like, the points that they feel like they're stuck at, what are their dreams, like that whole thing, so we kind of know where to start. And they're like, well, I just want like I want, the like fast track magic pill hack to like getting consistent clients. And I'm like, there isn't one. Like, these are the things that you need to understand and have down, but like the way they're executed are different for every single person, right? So like, yeah, I see this all the time where they're like, oh, well, I want the hack to like to sales, or like, what's the hack to getting to 10K plus clients? And I'm like, there isn't one. Like, there really isn't one. And like, one 10K client will look different from somebody else's 10K client. Like, there is not this like one specific type of person, or this one specific style, or this one specific thing that you can just like pluck out of somebody else's business, lay into your business, and like, get that one person, or this like secret. Like, I think a lot of times people will try to think that there's this like secret alternate universe that they're just like, where's the door? Can you
Yeah.
help me have the door, to this thing? And so like, when you do see that in marketing, and if it is somebody that's like do exactly as I do, I have this and I have that, kind of thing, and it's not like, again, empowering people to be themselves, create how they want to create, do what they want to do, make their own way there, then that's a big, big, big red flag for me as well, because I'm like,
Yeah.
it's not possible.
And I think also, I mean, I don't know whether this is kind of going off topic a bit, but also I feel like these things also do not acknowledge when people, and often a lot of these people who are marketing themselves as having the answers. And I feel I do recognize the irony here that both of us are coaches and educators.
Mm-hmm.
But I never claim to have the answers. I guess maybe that's a bit of
Yeah.
a thing. But it's like I feel like they fail to acknowledge that they didn't turn up in the business yesterday and achieve the success overnight.
Yeah,
And it's this thing
exactly.
of like, oh, I've got the key to the success and
Yeah,
just do these things.
no,
They're not saying, but you need to start now and you will see the success in about 10 years, because that's when I
exactly.
started my business.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
obviously using someone else's journey can help to sometimes navigate some of the things to save
Definitely.
some time, but you can't condense someone's 10-year or 20-year business journey into a year.
Especially too, if like the way that they found success has completely pivoted. Like, people that got super popular on Instagram 5, 7, 8 years ago, you cannot replicate that today. Like, it's just not possible. And this is why you touched on it a second ago, but I wanted to add a little bit, because we are both educators, right?
Yeah.
But the difference here is that we help you figure out your path and your way. Like, even in my group program, like the way that I teach branding, I'm not teaching it with like, look like me and do like me and be like me. I'm like, here's a slew of questions. Here is why they're important. Figure this out, and then we'll apply it to your brand, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So like, yeah, I just wanted to put that out there, because we are both educators, so it could be confusing, right? And if somebody's like listening and they're like, well, they both sell, this thing that's not one-to-one coaching, it's different and it's
Yeah.
not the same. And it's because we understand these nuances. And I never give people my path because my path is irrelevant completely to their
Yeah.
success.
Yeah. I think for me, when people ask me about what I've done, I give specifics. And you know, funnily enough, I actually almost thought about recording a podcast on this, because I feel like so often, you know, even a lot of the podcasts or articles that I write, I'm talking in hypotheticals.
Yeah.
When then I'm like, there's no actionable intel in this because I'm talking in hypotheticals, because every action that somebody takes is
Hmm.
so specific to them as a business owner, to their
Exactly.
full spectrum of being, because
Hmm.
we are many facets. I'm not just a photographer, I'm not just a hiker or a climber, I am
Yeah.
many things, and that is
Yeah,
all part of
exactly.
it. And so are
Exactly.
our clients. Our
Hmm.
clients are many things, and there's so many factors that influence how we move forward. So like one of my
Yes.
biggest things is how we build a niche. And a
Yeah.
niche isn't always what people think about, going really, really narrow. It can be so
No.
many different ways.
Hmm.
But when you're talking about these things, that's why I really sometimes find it hard to talk about, yeah, topics in podcasts or like doing an online course, because I'm like, it's so broad because every person's journey is so specific
Yeah,
to them. And I think
exactly.
what we do as coaches
Hmm.
is it's helping people to see the parts of their story that they overlook because they're
Exactly.
just
They're so
normal to
close
them.
to it.
They're so
There's,
close to it that
yeah,
they don't
exactly.
see how absolutely incredible and unique, and how, I can't think of the word now, but how special their stories
Yeah.
are and how much power is
Hmm.
in them. And I think
Hmm.
that's where, like, that's, you know, a lot of the magic of the work that we do, and it can build into
Exactly.
strategy, and it does build into
It
strategy.
does eventually, once we
um
understand and once they
but
understand, you know.
absolutely, that there is a basis and a sort of a rough process often that will happen, but the order it happens, the journey
Yeah,
is so
exactly.
different. There's
Exactly.
often a lot of backtracking as well. Like, you'll think that something is the right
Tons.
course, someone will spend some time with it and then realize, actually, do you know what, that doesn't quite sit right with me. Then you go back
Hmm.
and you try again. Like,
Hmm.
it's not a linear progression either, which
No,
I
not
think
at
is
all.
something that is never really kind of acknowledged in things like online courses. And I know we're not
Yeah.
really talking about online courses today, but
but
it's,
it but it ties into the marketing thing
yeah,
because this is what happens is the marketing is like, I have this one framework that works for everyone and you have to learn this and do this. And like, this is one of the things that like my clients get really like fucked up on, because when they come to me, 90% of the time they've taken somebody else's like course and then they're just like, this one doesn't feel right and I don't know how to verbalize it or process why it doesn't feel right, or two, it's not working for me, right? And
mm,
so they're trying to do this like specific framework of like, do social media marketing and this way and like do all these things, you know. And then when they come to me, I'm like, well, do you want to do social media? And they're like, I there's an option, you know. And I'm like,
yeah,
yes, you don't have to, you know. And so I think it all comes down to the marketing, because they get like hooked, right? Because the this is another part of this whole like marketing thing that, you know, we wanted to talk about. It comes from this assumption that the people that are reading it are like just like unintelligent, right? Like they're not like smart enough to understand like their feelings or to like acknowledge that they know why maybe things aren't working out for them, you know. And so they're like, okay, well, I'm going to take this fishing rod, and yes, I'm going to, you know, buy this thing and that will fix it all, you know. And then they do this like very linear situation because of the marketing, because the marketing was selling the magic framework and the magic blueprint, you know, and like this whole thing. And yeah, again, it comes back to marketing, because they're not going to be buying that product if they didn't see the marketing for it in the first place. So like, to loop it back, it all
yeah,
comes back
yeah.
to
It, that's
the
the thing. It's
marketing.
there's so many layers to this, right? It's like, at the top layer, it's like it's just about marketing, but then you're like, but it's about how the marketing's done. It's about what they're marketing, the way.
Yeah.
Pandora's box.
Yeah, exactly. And the
Yeah.
emotions, because like I understand, especially as somebody that helps people with their marketing, it all comes down to your messaging and who is reading the message and the emotions that people feel about the message. Because this is also something that I always teach. Like marketing and sales to me is not two separate entities. Like the
Yeah.
marketing is the head to your sales, right? And like good marketing should be warming them up for the sale and they should be pre-sold before they get to you, right? So like marketing 100% is emotional and sales is 100% an emotional decision. It's not logical. You rationalize your way into logic from the emotion, right? So like it all starts from the marketing and the way that somebody feels about themselves. And the point that we really wanted to make in this whole kind of like rant session, though we went a little off and back and whatever, was that really pay attention to the words that you're reading, how they're making you feel. And like we both know, listener, you are smart enough. You know your body better than anybody else knows your body. Pay attention to what your gut is saying, what your head is saying, even so much as your actual physiology. Is your heart racing when you're reading this thing? Are you suddenly feeling like really fucking sad? Do you feel
Yeah.
really bad about yourself? And now you're like, I need a snack to feel better. If that's the case, then you're not being put in a good emotional space to make an educated purchase for yourself. So like really, as you're reading all this messaging, if somebody's hammering down on whatever your insecurities and the shadows might be, is are you sweating? Do you feel a fight or flight? Do you feel like you need to latch onto this person or you will fail? If that's the case, really, really think about buying from that person, because if that's how they're making you feel to almost twist your emotions and like pry open the insecurities to get the sale, they don't care about your well-being. So like we really just wanted to come on here to like bring more awareness of like this is the by and large most popular common way people are marketed towards. There is another way. You have, here we go, the permission.
Yeah.
You are in control of what you're purchasing, who you're purchasing from. And there is another set of people like us that we're not the loudest because we care about what you think and feel. But there's other people out there that want your success and want to help you in your success. And like, is their words making you feel good?
Yeah.
Like how are their words making you feel? That's really what we like really wanted to hop on here for. The email was just a catalyst to the greater problem out there of how people are getting this messaging, taking in this messaging, internalizing the messaging, behaving on the messaging, thinking about the messaging, thinking about themselves in the messaging, changing their own self-concept, yada 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 yada, right? So like that was really the point why we wanted to come on here to like talk about that, but also show you that like you're smart enough. Listen to yourself.
Yeah.
Like, before you
Yeah.
make a
Just,
buy. Like
I think
listen.
exactly that you are smart, that you have yeah, generally you have all the knowledge, all the information that you need. Sometimes you just haven't quite understood how to use it yet. But just this idea that there's different ways to learn, and that also actually just embracing your power as well. If you've taken courses before and you're like, yeah, I never finish them, go fucking buy another one,
Yeah.
because you know that that's not how your brain works.
Why are you
That's
not
how you
finishing
learn.
it?
So
That's the internal again.
like
Why are you not doing these things? What's the reasoning that you're not finishing these
yeah,
courses? So like pay attention to that so you don't just buy another one or continue to consume the free marketing content out there from these people, the same people. Because
yeah,
I see this also where like they'll buy the course, not finish the course, feel weird about everything, but then still take all of the public free value, that like you're taught in the coaching space of like giving all this free stuff as part of your funnel, which is a whole other conversation. But they'll still take on all that messaging, even though they've bought the thing. And like, why is it not, like working for you? And like, there are other options out there. Like, I'm not trying to promo my course, but like really, this is why I've set up my group program this way, why it's not a course, an actual group program, because like it really is about like helping people empower themselves, figure themselves out, and then how do you apply it, right? So like there are other things out there that can help you get the success that you are dreaming of without having this like cookie cutter, self, I don't know how to describe it, but like that cookie cutter framework of, and like you feel bad when you're even starting it. So like, yeah, you're already off course starting something.
Yeah,
You feel
that's
bad.
the thing. I think with any personal development education, you should go into it feeling like, do you know what, I'm doing pretty good, but actually I feel really empowered. Like I feel excited to do this, not I need to do this.
Exactly.
There
Yeah,
should never be
exactly.
a I need this. If you're using the term need, then that's something I think to reflect on.
Yeah,
why do you think
exactly.
you need it?
Exactly.
And actually looking at like, why, why do I need it? Do I want it? Do I feel actually positive and empowered? And I
Mm-hmm.
think even if you're kind of struggling with that difference between like need, want, and empowered, think about, like the way you are with clients. Would you ever want like your clients to book you because they like don't feel, would you want people to not feel empowered booking you and not feel good about that
Mm-hmm.
decision, but booking you
Exactly.
because they're just worried that if they don't, things are going to go to shit? Like, yes, you get the booking, but does that make you feel good? Versus, do you want people to book you because they're really excited about working
Exactly.
with you, not because they need to, but just because they know it's going to make their life better and
Yeah,
more,
exactly.
and I don't like the
More.
word better, more awesome,
More. Yeah,
more awesome.
exactly. Exactly. The value, you add value to their life in some way,
Yeah,
right? And I think this is the thing too, is like in marketing, like are you being empowered to feel like you want more, right? Like whenever I'm talking to my people, it's like I don't ever want someone to feel like if they are not enough and I will make them enough, right? It's more like I just want the people that know that like they see a bigger vision for themselves. They just need some hand holding to actually get there and keep it sustainable and in integrity with who they are, right? So like, is the marketing trying to tell you that you aren't enough? Are you feeling like you're not enough? Are you feeling like your business isn't enough? Are you feeling, if the word enough is in there, then that means that they like psychologically are having you compare yourself to them, which means you will never feel enough because it
yeah,
doesn't matter. Like there's always somebody that's doing more money or more clients or more this or whatever, but like how does it make you feel?
yeah. I think enough, and the other one for me is more. Like any kind of marketing that's like that is to do with um that assumption
Mm.
that to have any form of success that you have to grow, that you have to have
Yes.
more inquiries,
Yes.
more
I talk
bookings,
about this all the
more
time.
clients. Um,
Exactly.
like that assumption that like success equals growth and growth and
Yes.
growth. It's like maybe it doesn't. Like,
Yes.
so again, just looking for those messages, because those messages as well are just going back to sometimes a mindset that we often all have learned growing up of
Hmm.
success is continually growing. And
Yes.
for a lot of my coaching clients, it's actually when we take that time to slow the fuck down
Yeah,
and
exactly.
realize, and this was for one of my clients recently. They got to the point where they were like, I have to grow, I have to grow, I have to go to the next stage. And we talked
Yes.
about what that would look like.
Yes.
Like how do we bring on more people into the business? How do we have a
Yes.
team?
I was going to
And
talk
they
about
went,
that.
I don't fucking want this.
Exactly.
But there was this, they've been peddled how to grow your team, how to grow. And it was like, well, actually, like, yeah, take a step back and
Yeah.
what do you actually fucking want?
Yes,
Um,
yes, I have a client too, where the same thing, like They came to me. They had actually taken somebody else's course that, not somebody that we may or may not have been talking about today, but a different one. And when they came to me, they felt, when you when you come to a coach, it's usually because you can sense something is out of alignment, but you don't know what, and you need help figuring it out, right? So she came to me totally out of alignment, and we had this whole conversation, right? And throughout the time working together, it was the same thing where, you know, she was like, I need to have more, and I need to have more shooters, and I need to start doing IPS, which is in-person sales for non-photographers listening, which is a whole structural setup in a business. Like it is a quite in-depth system that you need to, you know, add in, and it takes a lot more time. It is switching up how you price things, you know, and like all this other stuff. So anyway, she thought like she had to do all this more and build out this whole team. And I was like, wait. I was like, when we first started, we talked about what your dream is, and your dream is being able to travel, having the freedom, only working a few hours a week, you know, like this whole thing. And that's your idea of success. So like, if you're building out this whole team, what does that look like for you? And is that what would actually make you happy? And she was like, absolutely not. And I was like, okay, there you go. Like, you don't have to do all of that, and you don't have to do more, and you don't have to like run these ads to get like, I saw this in a group, they this educator was teaching people the kind of like the coaching funnel, right, of like, have a group, like run ads to your Facebook group, sell to this group, like whole thing. Then anyway, this photographer was talking about how they had 200, I think it was 217 consults for the month. And I was just like, what? Because they were told they needed more inquiries, more consults, like all this stuff. But when it got all boiled down, they only booked, I think it was 6 people out of like 217 consults, right? And so I like this whole idea, if somebody is selling you that you need to have like all this like more marketing and more inquiries and like more, it's, first of all, that means that you're not actually like targeting your ideal people. It's like you're just like blanket doing everything. So again, listen to what are these messages saying, and what does it actually mean for you, like, and what you would need to do for that, and like, is that what you actually want, is my point of that rant.
Yeah, I think it's hard. I guess, I don't know, maybe talking about like how people can find like the people, you know, someone to work with, because this is something that I think about a lot as well, you know, the kind of, yeah, the hypocrisy of me saying there's some really dumb educators out there, or not dumb, but they're not dumb, they're perfectly intelligent, creative,
they're just doing a different style.
They're just doing a different style. But it's like, yeah, don't assume that the loudest people are the most successful people or the ones who are right for you. And, you know, how can people find, the question for me was like, how do people find a way of working on personal development, of continuing their education if they want that continuing support that's right for them?
Yeah.
And like, you know, the two of us said, like, we're almost unknown. And I think, you know, the reason for me that I'm maybe not so loud as an educator, and I do try to push myself to speak out more and become more visible, but it is that idea of, I don't know best. I don't know what's best for you. You know what's best for you. You know what you need. Sometimes I'm just there to help you articulate it when you're struggling to. And it can be really hard to find someone who resonates with you. But I think that's, for me, that's really important when you're looking, whether it is a course or whether it's someone to work with in a group program or one-on-one, someone that resonates with you, that you think, you know, their way of life, their values. I think a big thing, certainly for me, is the way someone lives their life, not just the way they run their business, but the way they live their life. Do their values, do they, you know, are they someone who has integrity that lines up with how I live my life? And like finding those people in places where maybe aren't the loudest spaces, in big groups. I mean, sometimes it could be just it might not even be people always that put themselves forward as educators.
Yep.
Sometimes it can be people that you just look up to, that you can reach out
Mhm.
to and say, hey, look, I'd be interested, would you have a mentorship or even just a session?
Yeah.
Always offer to pay them.
Yes.
I think if you do want coaching, I think don't have to work with a certified coach, but if someone's calling themselves a coach, I think it's good to understand what true coaching is versus
Yes.
someone who's calling themselves a type of coach, but also
Yeah.
thinking about the type of support that you want.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree. I have nothing to add to that because yeah, exactly. Like you really do, and this comes back to exactly what the point of most was is like, how does it make you feel? How do they make you feel? Is it something that aligns with who you are? And yes, just like you said, value alignment is so important because even though, as a coach, I am tabling my model of the world, right? Like while we're in session and stuff like that, you still want the person, we're still people, right? We're still a person. You do want them to have very similar values to you because also like it's an inherent comfortability, right? Because like coaching is so much about the vulnerability and the almost like intimacy of the space, right? Like the the I don't know, the hour on the screen, right? Or hour and a half, whatever it might be with my clients, like it really is a space where they cry often and
Mhm.
say the thoughts that they don't want to say to anybody else, and like all this stuff. And so if it is somebody that doesn't align with your values, like you maybe won't feel that comfortable to get that vulnerable, right? Like it is really important to pick somebody like that as well. And
It really is. Yeah. No, I 100% agree. Like you say, as a coach, we're always going to put our own model of the world, our own assumptions, beliefs to one side. But for that coaching relationship to work, in coaching we call it rapport, but
mhm,
it's that trust. It's that knowing
exactly.
that your coach is going to be completely honest and open with you, and that you can be
Exactly.
completely and open and honest with your coach. That's not going to happen if no, doesn't matter how much you respect them as a business owner, if they share certain beliefs that you
Mhm,
don't. If you know,
exactly.
for example, I mean, these are pretty extreme ones, but
Yeah.
they are certain political orientations, or that
Yes.
they have
Absolutely.
not been particularly diverse in their thinking towards certain,
Groups. Exactly.
groups,
Yep.
that you may find that you can't be fully open and honest with them about some things because there's some
Exactly.
core things that, while they will say they're unbiased, you won't feel like you can share the full part of yourself in your session. And while this isn't therapy, coaching is not therapy, it's not a
No.
replacement for it.
Yeah, no.
You bring your whole self, you are your business. Like
Exactly.
everything is so intertwined. When everyone here who runs a business knows, when your emotions are, at different,
Mhm.
especially anyone who has a hormonal cycle will know that different
Mhm.
times of the month
Yes.
um, can very much affect how you run your business.
Yeah, exactly.
There's so many different things that affect how you show up in your business. And so
Exactly.
making sure that you honor that, and that's, also just those little things when you're choosing who you work with, there
Yeah.
has to be that trust, that comfort there, that you can just fully let any inhibitions go and know that that space that is held for you in coaching is just
Mhm.
fully there for you to for
Exactly.
whatever you need it. And sometimes
Yeah,
it
exactly.
is just a session where you talk.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So often. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Because like again, your thoughts and how you view yourself and how you view the circumstances that you're in completely affect how you do anything. And as business owners, like you said, you are your business. So like you make decisions from your own brain, so like whatever you're going through. Yeah, I've had sessions where it's just like for lack of better term, a bitch session about like being broken up with, like things like that. But again, this comes right back to the marketing. If they are not empowering you and making you feel comfortable in their marketing, then when you hire them, you're not going to feel comfortable around them because, well, one, that wasn't a priority for them. Otherwise, it would be in their marketing, right? Like, so again, it like really, whether it's a one-to-one relationship, coach or not coach, or a course or whatever, however you're first finding out about them, because for anyone listening, marketing is just someone being aware that you're there. Really is like all it boils down to. So like their first or your first experience with this person 99% of the time will be their marketing, which is even a referral, right? Like I get a lot of my clients from client referrals, right? But that person's referral is still marketing, really, right? So like how are these people speaking about you? Or like if you are thinking about, you get this really awful email and it makes you feel really fucking bad. And then you're like, oh, they're selling me something at the end that I need to buy in order to not feel really bad about myself. If you are feeling bad, talk to other people that have like purchased that thing and see like, did it help them? Is it making them feel better? Like actually, like be aware and like I don't like saying the term like do your homework, but like listen to yourself. And if it is not a hell yes, because I feel fucking good, then like do maybe a little extra legwork for yourself so you don't put yourself in a position that you're not getting the results that you hope for.
Yeah, I think that very specific example, talk to other people, but I think also, and I've had this before with friends, with clients, where again they've had messages like this, either adverts or emails trying to sell them something.
Mm-hmm.
And they've checked in like with like, I have a few sort of smaller WhatsApp communities that I'm part of where it's very much a safe space, where they will come in and go, I'm thinking about buying this course. What do you guys think?
Definitely.
And almost every time it will be, why do you think you need this?
Exactly.
And they often can't really articulate it, and it's, these spaces aren't there. Again, when you build these like trusting spaces, and I'm not talking about a Facebook group with
no
people in it.
no, with really bad advice most of the time.
I'm talking about really small intimate groups where there's maybe like 10 to 20 people, where you can just go to people who you trust, who are not going to bullshit you, and you'd be like, oh, I've, if one of these, marketing messages has touched on a point where you're on an insecurity, where you're like, oh, but do I need this? Because sometimes maybe it is something you need. I'm not saying that it's never.
Exactly.
Sometimes
100%.
there are things where you're like, actually, do you know what? Maybe you could benefit from that.
But
it's not always. So go to someone or a couple of people who you trust.
Exactly.
Bullshit, and just say, hey, look, I'm thinking about this. Like, and if you can't convince them other than like, I think I need this to be successful, that for me is not a good enough reason. Like if they think it's a good idea and you think it's a good idea, then, and you feel empowered to do it, then
exactly.
Great,
that's the key of all of it. And like to expand kind of on what I was talking about, that is what I meant, right? Like going to somebody that and knows you, like to get their opinion versus just like asking a bunch of people or even looking at reviews and stuff, because as we know from being in this online business, coachy consultant space, there's a lot of people that like make money from affiliate links, that maybe aren't being 100% truthful.
Well, I mean, you probably like I as well. The number of times as someone who, I mean, I'm not super well known, but there's, I think, enough people sort of know my name that the number of times I've been offered a course or a new platform and said, hey, we're going to give you this for free. Can you give us a review of it, please? And obviously they want a glowing testimonial of that they can use my name to say how wonderful their course is. Because if you've got big people who are successful with testimonials selling your course, everyone else is going to think it's great. So as well,
or that their course had a piece like a not a piece of a reason, like their course was like one of the reasons this person was successful when they were like successful before this like
Yeah.
course was even a thing or
Yeah.
thought
It's like,
about.
this person is so successful, yet they still needed my course. It's like, so
Yeah,
just, yeah, just be aware of those things. So yeah, even just looking at
exactly.
reviews and who's writing the reviews,
Yes.
that you sometimes have to take them with a pinch of salt, because
Yeah,
the same with
exactly.
Amazon reviews. Like, so many people, I think so many people know these days that when new books launch on Amazon, people give them away for free in return for
Yeah,
getting 5-star
yeah,
reviews.
exactly.
People do this
Yes.
with courses too. So
Hmm.
just, yeah, do your research. We know you're not dumb. You guys are not dumb. Like,
Yeah, no.
industry is some of the most intelligent, creative people.
Oh my
It's just,
gosh, yes.
there are, unfortunately, people out there will try and make you think that you are not or less than, so
Yeah,
that they can sell you shit. And that's what we don't like,
yeah,
essentially.
yeah, that is not what we want.
No.
Yes. Oh, and another thing too, like with the whole like reviews and other people's opinions and stuff, I also see often where people are buying this thing for very different reasons some of the times. And so somebody's like maybe like bad review or good review of the thing like is actually totally irrelevant to what your experience will be in it. Like I see this a lot in the coaching space where someone's like, oh, I hired this like one person and it was like awful or whatever, but their like expectations and the reasons like why they came to that person like wasn't really like ideal to begin with. So yeah, like when I guess my point is like
They like
listen to
nuance.
yourself.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Listen to yourself because a good or a bad review like doesn't actually mean like because I've had past clients, I'll be the first to say it, where they come and you work with them and they think they're going to get this magic pill thing, no matter how many times you tell them what you are wanting is like 6 months to a year's worth of dedicated time and effort, right? But like sessions in, they don't have it yet, so oh, you're a bad coach, so like listen to yourself, take it everything with a grain of salt, good or bad reviews, and like pay attention to their marketing, how it's making you feel, where you see yourself, because that's I think that's kind of the missing part of a lot of this marketing, is that it's really coming from a space of like how to make them feel insecure in their present day self, right? Because as
Mhm.
coaches, we do a lot of work, if not almost all of our work is based on the future version of them and how to get them into this really just like badass ideal version of themselves that they really really want, right? And so like if the marketing isn't really talking to that person or to that way, but not in a dreamy way, not where I'm trying to sell you this
Yeah.
dream of like, look what I did and I have like all like I'm living this like thing, and you're like, ooh, I want that thing. If it's not actually like someone speaking to helping you find your success and this future of what you want, and it's really just like prying on your present day, making your present day self feel bad, that whole thing, that's where it's a no for me.
Yeah.
If you watch American Idol,
Yeah,
they're
the
just like,
big thing
it's
for
a
me is
no,
it's a no from me if it's
no for
anything where
me.
you think I need fixing.
Mm-hmm.
I need a solution. I need help. I need fixing. I'm broken.
The
Any of
broken
that,
thing,
the
that's what gets me.
broken, fixing. If you're thinking, you might not be using those exact words, but anything around the terms, I need fixing, I need a fix, I
If
think help is
somebody,
is a tricky one, but
yeah,
anything like that,
because everybody,
like,
I
that's
think,
a
I
big red
mean, they need
flag. Like,
help.
as
Like,
coaching, yeah, help can be an empowered thing. Asking for help is
exactly.
good, but
Yeah,
there's a difference
exactly.
between asking for help and saying I need fixing. Also,
There's
you're putting that outside of you. There's no ownership there of your own role
that.
within there.
Exactly. Yes.
Um, and that's, I think, as well, though, that's very much the difference between a coaching space. Is in coaching, we don't believe anyone needs fixing.
my my number one, like, so anybody listening, if you're kind of like, well, now I'm kind of confused, like they're talking about like so many things, my like internal gauge for any of this stuff is really boiled down to, have they placed themselves as a savior?
Yeah.
And if they have placed themselves as a savior for your business, don't do it. Like that is not that is not a co-creation process. Like that is not somebody there to help you. That is somebody that has placed themselves as a savior, wants to sell a bunch of stuff so then they can keep saying, look how many people I've saved, right? And like I actually want to do, this is a side note, maybe I'll take this out, but I've been brewing for like a year now on doing some kind of series about how marketing is really similar to like cult tactics. So like
It
it
is.
really is.
It
It
really
really
is.
is.
To be
So
honest, it
somebody,
is the same. I feel like some photography groups are just cults.
yeah, exactly. Because they do the savior thing, right?
Yeah.
So like if anything anywhere is like very much a self-proclaimed savior, that's when my gauge goes off and I'm like, I absolutely will not purchase from that person
Yeah.
because it's self-serving, right? If you've placed yourself as a savior, it's a self-serving place you've put yourself in, and that is not the place to be if I want someone to help me with myself and
Yeah.
my, you know.
Yeah.
So anyway, so
It's that thing, isn't it? Of
that's my
like
gauge.
anything that makes you feel less than,
Exactly.
and the person who is making you feel less than is also the person who is saying that they can make it all go away.
Mm-hmm.
That's where it's red flag. Like, just
Exactly. Yes,
does
like the
this
difference
make
here,
does this make
it,
you feel good? And if it
yeah,
doesn't, like, find somebody
exactly.
you can talk to who will make you feel good, who is not going to ask you for your money.
Yeah. the the difference here too for people listening, like if they are saying like I like putting themselves as the savior and being like I'm the one that will like give you all the things versus I can help you figure it out.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
that's kind of also too like where it is, because we know for long-term success, like we've talked about all these nuances, everybody's brain is different. I work with a ton of neurodivergent people because I'm
Yeah.
neurodivergent, so like equals like. So like you have to have somebody help you figure it out, right? And so like if anybody is saying like I have the one and only solution and like come pray to me, kind of
Yeah.
situation, then like that's where for me the marketing is, it's too sticky for me and it's
Hmm.
too, I'm just like again, you're not dumb.
Yeah.
Like you're very intelligent people. You have your own business. It takes a lot of skills, a lot of intelligence, a lot of feelings. It takes your whole ass self to be able to run a business. So like you're very capable.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I mean, smart people also don't own their own businesses,
Yeah.
but you know what I mean? Like you're capable. Like listen to what is being fed to you and I've made a post about this, I don't know, a month or so ago. Like be careful what of these stories you're taking in as your own narrative and your own truth and bringing it into your own perception of the world and how you perceive your business, how you perceive your skills, how you perceive your creativity, your art, like all these things. And like how is it making you feel? If it's any of these bad things that you're taking on for yourself, go the other direction and find somebody else that will like empower you, make you feel good. Like honestly, so many times I believe in my clients' success more than they do half the time, right? Like someone that like really like sees all these possibilities and it's just helping you take the blinders off. Like really,
Mhm.
like find people like that, right? Like there
Yeah.
is help out there. Obviously people need help, otherwise we wouldn't do what we do. And even us as coaches, we both have our own
We both have
coach.
coach. Yeah.
like
Yep.
like it everybody needs that third perspective, right? So like I
Mhm.
always say that coaching is like I'm looking at like the frame of the picture, the whole frame, and you're like in the photo, right? So it's hard for you to see all everything because you're in it, where I can see, like I can see the whole frame, so like find people like that. There
Mhm.
is help out there that can
Yeah.
help you. There is people out there that their marketing isn't all about like pain points and like, pressure sales and like make you feel like shit and stomp you down. So you give them money. Like just listen to yourself, listen to your gut. That's all we wanted to say.
Yeah.
This whole
I
thing,
think
an
that's
hour long for us
yeah,
to say
that's
that.
really what it boils down to, isn't it? Is we want to say to you, like, you've got this, you're fucking awesome. listen to your gut and do what feels good for you.
Exactly. And like, see the vision that you want for yourself and just find somebody that will help you get to that vision. Because again, like we said, this like copy paste framework stuff, like especially in the photography space, not everybody wants associate shooters, not everybody wants to shoot all day elopements, not everybody wants to do IPS. Like there's, don't learn from somebody to tell you what to do if you don't want that model for
Yeah.
yourself. Like,
Not everybody wants to do planning, location scouting.
yeah, exactly. And
Everybody,
you don't
not
have
everybody wants to
to.
do destinations. Like
Yeah,
so many different ways to do
exactly.
stuff. Like
Exactly.
you can do you, and
Yeah.
like find somebody who's going to empower you to
Mhm.
embrace the whole spectrum of
Of
you
you,
and
exactly.
not to try and be a lesser version of them.
Yeah, exactly. This is okay. This is maybe one of my last points. But this is something that I see because like all of my clients are weird. Like we are all weird. And like one of my like the first things we do is I'm just like helping them feel confident enough to just be weird in their business. And that's when it takes off, right? So I have so many clients that come to me that have tried this like, you know, other cookie cutter things. And then they do become this like very watered down version of somebody else. And then they feel out of alignment. They're like, I don't understand what's happening. And so like once we get into everything, I'm like, you aren't being you. Like in your
Mhm.
business, like be you, be weird. Like do you like I have in one of my clients in my group coaching program when we got into like the packages and stuff, she's like, I want to do like witchy rituals in the elopements. And I'm like, then do it. Like do it. That's
Yeah.
amazing. You know, like do it. You don't have to do like what somebody else is saying you have to do. And I guess that is kind of like the clincher here is like you don't have to do what someone's telling you you need in
Yeah.
order to be successful. That's my like my key here.
Yeah.
Key takeaway.
It's
So
true.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
true. And that could be that you, I guess the difference is neither of us are going to tell you what you need. That's,
Yes.
and that could be either of us,
Exactly.
that could be a different person who is a coach, but somebody who has your best interest at heart is never going to tell you what you need.
No, absolutely not. They'll
They'll
help
be
you
there to
point.
say, I am here to be your support when you need it, to offer you
Yes.
guidance when you need it.
Yes.
But I'm never going to tell you that I know what's best for you because you
Yeah.
know what's best for you.
Yeah, no, and even when it comes down to like mindset work and stuff, like it's all like it all comes from like what are their thoughts do they no longer want anymore, right?
Yeah.
It's never me saying like, oh, you shouldn't think that, you know,
Yeah.
it's like this
Look,
thought
that
isn't
mindset is
helping
wrong.
you anymore. Yeah, like if this isn't serving you anymore to
Yeah.
get to that future that we've been
Yeah.
talking about, let's rewire it.
Yeah.
Let's reframe it. Let's get it out of there, right? With
Yeah.
something more empowering. Empowerment is like the name of the game here, you know? So like ah, we should do another one on that. I feel like we should do another one
I think we
on
should
mindset
probably
work and faux mindset work and what mindset work is and like all of that because
what it is, what it isn't. Oh my, I think
yes,
we could probably fill a whole year's worth of podcasts of
yes.
just us talking about different stuff. And also I love that our different, slightly different takes that both support very similar things, but we have different ways
Yeah,
of approaching stuff. And I love
yeah, which
that.
I love.
I think that's why we bounce well off each other.
Yeah,
And
and
why these
I
conversations can go on for hours, sometimes days.
forever. So yeah, we we need to be conscious here
Yeah.
of not going off for 17 hours. But I do
Mhm.
too, and I hope everybody listening. I hope it is empowering to them also to put the control back in their own shoes and not in these external messages that they're getting and see that there is these two other perspectives that you know align which is awesome to show you that there is other out there and it's not just us like there's again we're not your savior like
Yeah, we
there are
absolutely are not.
so many
And
other people out
the
there
people
that
out
are
there are
awesome.
possibly also people that you haven't discovered yet who, again, are flying under the
Exactly.
radar because they are not
Exactly.
shouting that they know what's best for you. Uh,
Yeah, exactly.
but I also believe that the right people find their way into your lives. So
Totally.
whether it's this podcast that happens to bring either me or Steph into your life for the right
Yeah,
reason at the right
exactly.
time, or somebody else for some other reason. Like,
yeah, exactly.
that's, yeah.
Yes, exactly. So
That's
yeah,
my existential part for the day.
mine is just I hope this brought perspective,
Yeah.
awareness, and empowerment back to you. And we think you're smart. We think
We
you're
think you're
great.
fucking awesome.
We love your art. Your art is great. It doesn't need to change. You are creative. No one needs to tell you how to be creative. Like, trust yourself. That's what I want right here. Trust
Trust,
yourself
trust your
with
gut.
trust your
Yeah.
gut, trust yourself,
Trust
trust
your
how things are
clients.
making you feel. Yeah, trust your clients. Just trust, because these kinds of marketing messages are really to pry and crack that trust in yourself so they can then save you. So like really just trust that, yeah, again, you know how to be creative. You
Yeah.
know how to do your business. Like just trust yourself. You're
Yeah.
not dumb. We don't think you're dumb.
You've got this.
You're very intelligent. Find somebody that wants to co-create with you and help you, not save you. So
I
that's
heard
my
procreate then. I was like, oh, is that a message we're sharing today?
co-create. I'm not that kind of coach.
Not in my house. No procreating.
Not
Thank
here.
you.
We don't
Uh,
procreate as part of my coaching
I mean, each to
container.
their own. If you want to procreate,
Some
go do
might,
it.
some might. There are some really great sex coaches out there, so I'm
Yeah.
sure there is something going on. But
Exactly. See,
yeah,
everyone has
see,
their own zones.
exactly.
If you want to incorporate that into your alignment
Yeah,
business,
great.
that's a
Why
niche.
not? I would I would be all for it. I'd be like, great, let's figure out how to make it happen. Awesome. Right?
Yeah.
There's no judgment here. That's really funny. But
Yes.
yeah, that's the difference right
Procreating
there.
as well as
Yeah.
procreating.
Yes. That's hilarious. So yeah. So I guess are there any other points that we wanted to make? Because we have been here for an hour and I know we can go for 17 more hours and 17 other directions. But is
I
there
think for
anything?
today, I think we've had a good like can't think of the word, but yeah. I think yeah, we've kind of got a lot out.
Yeah.
Said a lot of stuff that I think we both think
Yes.
should be said.
Yes.
Um and I guess yeah, I think on Spotify I can leave this open for people to leave comments and stuff.
Yeah.
So as
Hmm.
well, if anyone has any comments, like for me, so I'm at Adventure Wedding Academy on Instagram, like DM me on there or leave a comment on Spotify. And like Steph, if people want to get in touch with
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. On Alchemize Your Weird podcast, you can totally leave some comments. You can find me. I have a Discord group called We Are the Weirdos. Totally find us in there. I have some freebies on my site too, stephzakas.com, that you can grab. And I do want to say one thing. Because this happens sometimes where I just like talk about the grand scheme of things. People try to like get me to like pinpoint who I'm talking about to like throw them under the bus, and like don't, because I'm not going to do it, because that's not the point of this. The point
No.
of this is about marketing messaging, not what was the catalyst to this conversation. So if you do leave comments, just I'm not going to say anything because people do that to me all the time, and I'm like, when have I ever like publicly like done that? Because
No,
it's not, that's not the point here. So
no.
anyway, but yeah, you can find me there. Join the Discord. Join, yeah, grab a freebie from my site because I like giving shit away. And yeah, that's that. Trust yourself. So my one actionable. So at the end of my podcast, I always love to give at least one actionable step. So my actionable step to this is when you are taking in marketing messaging, before you buy, I want you to take a breath, close the window, wait and see how you feel the next day before you buy something. Because if they have managed to pry open your insecurity, your physiology is going, your fight or flight is going, and you're like, I need this to survive, take a beat, take a breath, close the web window, go out for a walk if you don't want to wait another 24 hours. Remove yourself from that space and see how you feel coming back to it before you make a purchase. That's my actionable step for you listening. So yeah, that's that. Okay.
I won't
Yeah.
add a second one because that'll
Great.
confuse. But I essentially agree with that wholeheartedly. So Yeah.
Perfect. Of course. Because we're awesome. All right. Yeah, so I guess that's it. So I hope you enjoyed this. Leave us some comments because we have a lot of thoughts. We have a lot of perspectives that we want to bring into the industries more publicly, because again, we both fly under the radar. We're both not the loud people, but we know that there are so many people out there that could really take in our perspective and see that there is another way and there is another perspective out there. So we were thinking about doing more of these joint rant sessions, if you will. So leave us comments on either of our, podcasts, whichever one you're listening on. Let us know if this is something that you would love us to do another one on, because we have already like 4 other topics that we were, thinking of bringing to this. And also, if you loved our perspective and this is something new that and kind of refreshing to you that you haven't seen or heard anywhere else, and love to hear our take on something in marketing and sales and branding, the photography industry, creative industry, like, let us know what it would be. And I'm sure, I don't want to speak for Kat, but I'm sure she's okay if we take that on board as well.
No, I wanted to say exactly the same thing. Like if there's any topics, because I think both you and I are very much no filter, we will say I'm not very capable, especially as I'm getting older, of filtering. Like, in fact, I don't think I've ever been really capable of it, of filtering what I'm thinking. So if there is topics that you want us to take on, like, so not as just our individual perspectives, but to have like an open discussion on, then let us know. Drop them in comments, send us DMs.
You can send us emails, Steph@stephzakas.com. Also send me an email, send Kat an email, whichever way.
Send me an email, kat@adventureweddingacademy.com, or on any of my multiple other websites. And just basically get in contact with us. I'll leave all the different websites, ways of
show notes,
contact with us as well in the show notes. And just let us know if there's things that you're like, this isn't being talked about enough. Like, can you talk about this? Can you talk about that? Tell us, and we will probably very happily have another one of these very open and unfiltered conversations about shit that's happening in the industry that no one is talking about, but everyone's thinking about.
Exactly. So again, we've both been in this industry for a very long time. We're under the radar. We both charge well over $10,000. Like, this is not new to us. So if there's anything in any of these spaces that you're like, you know what, I would like to hear something different, let us know, because this is fun for us.
It is fun for us.
Yay. Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Kat.
Thank you, Steph.
To be on your podcast.
Thank you for having me on yours as well.
Yes, exactly. And thanks everybody for listening. Leave some comments and we'll see you on the next one.
We will indeed.
Stay weird and make more money. That's my thing. Okay, bye.
How do I stop recording? I can't even see my stopping anymore. Oh,
it's
there.
like up